Today I'll be showing you how to paint loose and simple florals using warm colours perfect for this cozy season. So grab your paints and let's get started. For today I'm using a canvas. Colours I have deep gold, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, peach pink and titanium white, a jar of water, a spray bottle, a long flat brush, dagger brush, large filbert brush, a small cat tongue brush and a round small brush. A cloth to dry my brush on. I'm going to, like usual, spray my canvas. So the first layer of the florals is mapping out colour. So this is deciding where we want colour to be before we go out, and before we start painting some loose florals, we just want to make sure we know where our colours are. I'm going to be starting off by taking some burnt sienna. And I'm just going to start blobbing it in certain places. So I want more of the foliage to be brown and more of the flowers to be a lighter colour. So that means that the burnt sienna is going to be my kind of leaves and my foliage. And the titanium white, the peach pink, that is going to be the colours that we use for our florals. Okay, so don't worry so much about how it looks. It can look very messy right now. It's absolutely fine. Just make sure that your canvas is wet so that the colours don't set in a harsh streak. Then, keeping the burnt sienna on my brush, I'm going to go in and add some yellow ochre, just to add a second tone to that burnt sienna. And that can act as our secondary colour for the leaves. Okay. And now I'm going to grab the peach pink. So I'm going to grab that peach pink and I'm going to block that in. You can see it's very light, which is fine. Even though it's not visible right now, it will be later. And I'm also going to add some peach pink into other areas as well. We are working all wet on wet. Okay. And I'm also going to add in some white with a bit of yellow ochre. And just go in and fill up those spaces. Okay. All right. Now we have this kind of mapped out a little bit. What we're going to do is take some of that gold as well, and I'm going to just do these kind of thin strokes. Again, lightly spray if you need to keep your canvas wet, just to top it up. Okay, so we now have that. We're going to go in and get our dagger brush. So I have this dagger brush, and I'm going to go in now with the burnt sienna. I'm going to grab that burnt sienna, maybe even take a bit of that gold. And what we're going to start doing is creating more unique shapes. And you can even add some leaves going in between the flowers. This is really what's going to bring the bouquet together, by slowly lifting up the colours so that they start to work in harmony. And what you do with the burnt sienna, I'm now going to grab a little bit of titanium white, and this is just to act as a highlight. Just so that it's not all one colour coded. Okay, then going in with my large filbert brush, I'm going to grab my peach pink and I'm also going to grab some white, and I'm going to start doing that flower and putting out those petals. And start creating those colors and shapes. So I'm grabbing a little bit of the, you do need to add a bit of color to it. So I've taken some of that yellow ochre just as a base to put underneath the flower, so we can then go on top with white and it has something to stand over. So I'm just doing like so, grabbing some of that yellow ochre and doing the same where I've seen anywhere where we're going to put a flower in. Okay, and then I'm going to just kind of go anywhere where I want to make a darker base for the white petals to go on. And I'm going to grab another brush now, and I'm going to grab my long flat brush now in with my bronze and my burnt sienna, and I'm going to go in and start adding some more foliage. We're going back and forth. Now what we can do, just to make sure that the canvas doesn't get repetitive, is we can flip it around this way, so it's now the opposite side, just to make sure that the leaves and everything are not going to be going in the same direction. And so now we're starting to build on top of the florals, and we can start to kind of add some shape and form to it. So I'm just going in here and adding, okay, I think I'm going to go in with some yellow. I'm going to go in with some yellow now, and the yellow I'm going to grab my small round brush, and I'm going to grab some yellow ochre, and we're going to create these small flowers, and just wherever they can kind of be going in a different direction, just to add some okay, so we're just adding some small petals of yellow, just to add some contrast to all of the bigger petals that we've been doing. And just to kind of break up the shape slightly. Okay, I'm going to turn it back round to its original place. And we're just going to keep continuing with that until we feel happy that we've done enough and we feel like there is enough interest. This is just really about building layers and going on top of each other and creating these interesting kind of shapes that work together in harmony. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to go in now with my long flat brush, And I'm now going to go in mostly with white to really brighten up those areas that we kind of put the base underneath for with the filbert brush, but we're now going to go on top with the long flat brush. And this is to kind of add more delicate strokes into the florals. Okay, so we're going to, I'm using my brush at an angle just to make sure that I am not and I'm just grabbing a white as I go along, and you can see now the white will stand out more because it has that dark underneath. Sometimes I'm using the thin part of my brush and sometimes I'm going to go down and use the thicker part. It's all relative. Okay. And just keep going back with that white to really emphasize those pops of color. I'm just grabbing my brush. There's no really set way of doing it. When you're painting loose flowers, there isn't any specific right way or wrong way to do this, so you can really have more freedom with how you choose to paint your flowers. And the more you let go and you learn to just embrace that looseness with your brush, you'll find you'll be able to create really, really beautiful florals that you wouldn't have if you always try to maintain this kind of realistic impression whenever you're painting a flower. Because flowers have movement and they have really beautiful color and shape to them, and they don't need to be painted so realistically for them to just stand out and be beautiful in their own way. Okay, so now I'm going to go with my large filbert brush and I'm going to go into that burnt sienna, and I'm going to start creating these really big kind of leaves just to further emphasize what we've been doing. And I'm gonna go around the flowers so we can make them stand out more. You can kind of add some thin strokes in between the pale florals just to kind of break up all of the paleness, like so. I'm going to go on top with that yellow, but adding some white. So I'm going to go in and start to contrast the colours that we did there. Just so we get a different section of colour. Okay. Now, grabbing my round brush, I'm going to go in and add some spirals in the form of peach pink, some yellow, just mixing whatever we have left on our brushes now. And we're going to go in and create these kind kind of long swells. And so I'm just taking my brush take a little bit more of that burnt sienna. And just painting a few longer the final results for today's painting. If you enjoyed today's tutorial, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and make sure to turn your notifications on. I post a new video every Tuesday and Friday, and I'll see you in the next one.